Deliverance is a great what-if movie.
In what regard?
Well, the execution of the film, and I use that word very, very specifically, the execution of the film wasn't great. However, the concept of the film is.
It's based on a novel.
That's why it works.
I think.
What would you do in that situation?
What's that?
What would you do?
Oh, what would I do?
Okay, let me give you the scenario. Let me give you the scenario, okay?
Is it the 70s? Or is it today?
No, let's go by today. Let's go by today. You go into the backwaters of, doesn't have to be Tennessee, it can be any rural area where there's
Rabun County?
Where there's people who need dental work, and then you pull your canoe up onto the bank sort of thing, and you know that there's people coming down behind you, and they're very capable people, or at least one of them is. And
Got a gun, yeah.
Or it's got a bow, No.
Which person
and you're
am I
accosting.
being?
You are the fat guy. You are the fat guy at the very start.
Bobby.
Yes. You are the fat guy, and he's accosted by two guys with guns. At the very start, they come down into the forest, and they come up to you, and they say, you need to go back further into the forest. What do you do?
Oh, that's
They've
hard.
got guns.
They've got a gun.
You know there may be a little bit of hope coming the other direction. They've got guns. You got a river at your back. You got nowhere to run.
No.
What do you do?
I'd probably go a bit crazy.
What would you do?
Well, it depends. I don't know in that situation because sometimes your fight and flight responses kick in. So part of me would like to think I'd put up a fight and try and grab the gun if there's only one gun in play.
There's two.
No, there's not.
There's only the one?
Only
There's
the guy
one,
with no
that's right.
front teeth that had a
So
gun.
you fight.
Well, one gun. I'd go up to the forest, get raped and shot.
Yep.
Or I'd try and run for the river and get shot.
'Cause once you
or
go
I'd
further
pick
into
up
the
a fight,
forest,
'cause
yes.
There's two guys, Ed and Bobby, against these two other guys.
Yes. Once you comply to their original. Because you see, if somebody. This was what I was thinking about while I was watching this show. I was running scenarios in my head. Okay. And I was thinking in
really
terms of.
wise?
No, but when you watch films like this, it kind of makes you think, what would you do in that situation?
What would you do, Paul?
Well, I would do what you just did. I would fight because as soon as you start complying to somebody because if they're asking you to go further into the forest.
And you do it.
No, well, not only that. That means that they're not as strong. They don't have as strong a position as you think they do because they need to reinforce their position by getting you further away from help. You know what I mean? And so, therefore, it's entirely possible that they'll break and run at that point because they're not secure. So if you get into a situation like that when you're canoeing through Tennessee, guys, fight. Don't be complicit because there's only one end for
There's
that.
only three options. A, you do as they ask and you get screwed over.
Yep,
B, you run and you get shot.
Yep.
Or C, you do your best to fight it and you either get shot or you win.
I couldn't believe how clueless Robbie was, though.
Bobby.
What? Bobby, it's all the same.
Bobby Bum.
Bobby Bum. But he didn't even know what was going to happen to him right up to
I
the
think
point
he
where
was just freaking out. Some people they don't think people would do that. So his brain would just go, why would they even think this? Because his brain would never go that
It was hard
way.
to tell because they were such cardboard performances.
They weren't
They
weren't
weren't
great.
great. They weren't great.
No.
Okay, well, that was an interesting. I was just curious. That was one question I thought I must ask Pip when we do it because that's an interesting.
Well, my brain would immediately go, what are my options? Which option's best? Right.
That is your best option. That is by far and away your best option. And it's the same as somebody's
It's
trying.
not a great percent, but
if
it's
somebody's
better
trying to
than
force
nothing.
you into a car, you fight them. That's what I mean. Like if somebody's trying to get you to where they want to have more power, you've got to fight them right from the
It
mark.
might not work. Chances are it won't work, but
Yep.
it's the other ones are 100% against you.
Yep.
And even 1% I think is better than no percent. But that just got really deep.
It does ask questions that are not of like normal conversational value.
No.
And so consequently, I mean, it scarred, culture It scarred culture across the world.
In the 70s, yeah.
Well, not just American culture, but I mean world culture. It's a world global film, and you could say Deliverance in hundreds of countries around the world,
Oh, they know it. Yeah.
and everybody knows Deliverance. It's a big film, and it deserves that.
But like, I think you're right though. It has not aged well.
It's not aged well at all. It's horrible by today's standards. I'm sure people weren't watching it and going, "Oh, I thought that was a terrific performance." No,
No.
it was not so much that it was a bad performance, but the way it was shot and the way that the guys had to stand there in a straight line. They were all standing there in a straight line, and like you learn that in basic theatre,
Don't
you
stand
don't
in a straight
stand
line.
in a straight line, And they'll try and have the argument there and then, sort of thing. But anyway, so
How many stars would you give it, Paul?
okay, well, look, what it's trying to do, tell people don't go into Tennessee. Is it?
It's not.
No, I don't
No,
know.
it's not. It's saying, look at these. It's just a story. These guys have got incredibly paranoid. Yes, something bad happened, but they just kept it rolling
Yep.
and escalating.
Yep.
So they actually did. They took
Who was
something
the good
bad
guy? Who
and
was-
kept going.
Who
with
was
it.
the good guy in it?
Drew?
He was the only good guy?
You know what? I'd say yes. Towards the end.
Yes.
Yep. The others kind of went too far. That's
Too
what I mean.
far.
Something bad
Lewis
happened to
was
them.
already too far before he even climbed into the boat in the first
But
place.
the thing is, something bad happened, and something bad did happen, but they could have done the right thing about it. Instead, they went negative, and then negative again, and negative again. So
Yes.
that's what I mean. It just snowballed out of control.
They were all frightened. They were reduced back to animals.
Pretty much.
Okay.
Hence, Drew's body couldn't cope with it.
No. Look,
So what do you give it?
it's a hard one. I've got a lot of conflicting feelings about this film. I think it was groundbreaking. It deserves to be called a great film, but it's not a good film by today's standards. And it's not necessarily an entertaining film, although I found that I could watch it reasonably well without too much kind of grinding me teeth. Do you know what I mean? But it was noted that the acting was awful. Now, it only loses a half mark because the acting is awful. Because there's
it'd lose more than
there's
that,
a
but-
big fat area of what, you know what I mean? There's a big fat area of what is middle ground. You've got your excellent acting at one end of the spectrum, and then you've got Deliverance at the other end of the spectrum. And, in between there is kind of, well, I don't vote either way for a lot of it, but it was quite bad. So I'll give it half a mark less. It was groundbreaking. It is a great film, though it's not a good film. I would have to say 4.
Well, that's interesting because besides the music, which I found really great, and people know the music
Yep.
and love it, and I love the way it
Pacing
looked.
wasn't great.
It looked great. Parts of it, to me, weren't shot fab, but other shots made up for it. I found the pacing slow. I found it not as exciting. I found the acting not great.
Script writing wasn't great in it either.
No, but it's...
Oh,
I haven't even read the novel, so I don't even know if the novel's any good. So, but I'd probably give it a 4 as well.
Yeah.
I mean,
yeah.
people should watch it,
Yeah, I think they should because it's a cultural.
it's a cultural thing,
Iconic.
but-
It's iconically.
but you'll probably go, "Oh, that's not what I expected from all the hype that people talk about it." So,
No, but I mean, it's a bloody old film. It is an old film that didn't, and because it was groundbreaking at the time, it hasn't consequently held up over the period of time. Because what? Oh,
72,
well, it's 48 years old.
47.
That's right, because I hit 50 the other day. It's easy to do the math.
So that's 4 stars from both Paul and I for Deliverance.
Okay.
So next week, Paul,
Yes.
you want to watch Land of Mine?
Yes. Can I just say a little bit about?
No, you can't.
Oh,
No, you can save it for next week. No, you can't.
we get to see
No.
people jump up really high.
No. So Land of Mine for Paul and Secondhand Lines for me.
Yes, I think you'll really enjoy
I've been
that.
wanting to see it, but not like totally excited to see it. I just
Michael
like
Caine
it's got Michael
and
Caine
Robert Duvall.
Yeah.
Yeah.
But anyway, that'll be next week's movies.
And they absolutely kick ass in it.
You've seen it.
Oh yeah,
I haven't seen it.
No, it's a favourite. It's great.
Cool. All right. Well, we hope you have an awesome week.
Yep.
And we'll talk to you next week.
Well, before we go, I don't say this very often, and I try not to annoy people with it too much. But can you please rate and review us on iTunes? You can no. Well, it has to be occasionally said. We don't have a lot of reviews, and so consequently, we don't get the word out very much. So the people who have been listening for a long time, please do us a solid and get on there on iTunes and just write great or something like that. And
Passable.
Passable.
Talent challenge, but not bad.
Talent. Everybody should get on there and say they are talent challenge, but we love them anyway.
Or just acceptable.
Pass with a push. Okay. Okay. So, guys, people who have just found us, well, you've found us. Well done. We are available on all good podcasting
people are listening
networks.
to this.
Yes, like
It's all good.
Stitcher, and we're on.
Are we? We're not on Stitcher.
Sure, why not?
We're not. Don't say things like that. Anyway, well, we're going to go watch
We're on
movies.
Spotify. We're on iTunes. We're on
they're the main ones.
YouTube. We're on Google Play.
They're the main ones. It doesn't matter.
It's fine.
Now, stop talking.
Please help.
Stop talking to say goodbye.
Why?
Because these people have been listening to us talk for the last, 40-something minutes.
I believe the term is ad nauseum. Okay, see you guys.
Bye.
Bye.